Okay, and we are live. Welcome to Powderhorn Mountain Resort for Sunday, day 2 of the CMU Collegiate Slalom Racing. We are getting started a little bit late. I'm listening to the radios over here. All right, there we go. Just hang tight with us. We are running 15 minutes behind schedule, so we will get started shortly. Here's left, yes. All right, guys, as a reminder, you can join in the live YouTube broadcast at powderhornracing.org, or you can search Powderhorn Racing, like Powderhorn Racing Ski Racing, on YouTube directly. Just doing a few final checks before we get racing underway. When are forerunners scheduled? Yeah, I believe we're scheduled to start racing at 10. So it's 9:55, so we'll give them a few more minutes here. All right, so we are going to start with the women. Women are going to start on the right course. I believe that is skiers right. Men will start on skiers left, and then they'll cycle back around after a new inspection, and then the skiers will do the opposite courses for their combined of best 2 runs. Today's racing is brought to you by Leitner Poma, Timberline Bank, Shaw Construction, the Greater Grand Junction Sports Commission, Reams and Reams Law, Intermountain Health, and Rocky Mountain Orthopedics. Dufford, Wadleck Law, Rocky Toppers and Campers, Towie Adventure Tow Bungees, All Sound Designs, Technology Simplified, the Board and Buckle Ski and Cyclery Shop in Grand Junction. Thanks so much to these sponsors that help keep our program running. Later this afternoon, after we finish with the collegiate race here, we have a Buddy Warner race, which really most of our efforts go to supporting the coaches and programs for the kids of Buddy Warner. Sounds like we have 4 runners standing by. We're getting close. I just got word that the live timing may need adjusted. We're resyncing that right now. All right, so this is the first time that I have streamed on YouTube, and I can see your chats and chat back. I will get busy once the racing starts, so I won't be very responsive once we get going, but wanted to let you know that your positive encouragement of the racers is encouraged by all. We have a speaker at the top so the racers can hear my announcements. So it looks like KJ Storch is watching from wherever. Oh, from Michigan, I just heard. Shout out. All right, Andrew Jacobs, the announcer, guest announcer from yesterday, just showed up to do hand timing. Depending on how we're feeling, yeah, I don't really have a way for him to do hand timing and be on the mic at the same time. But Andrew, I will do my best to try to make you proud, buddy. Chat, how we feeling? I learned that from Andrew yesterday. Samuel Storch is here. First of 3 forerunners in the gate. Luke Murphy. Going to be on skiers, right? I heard that right course is icy. You can see that the sun hits that. In the afternoon, the left side of the course, Looker's right, has more shade, and so it gets less melty in the afternoons. Therefore, it's less icy feeling in the mornings. So that side over there is pretty slick feeling. Okay, Maribel Murphy is on course at the top. Here comes Luke towards the bottom. And Luke with a time of 36.89, 36.89. That's Lucas. Lucas just came through. Maribel mid-course. Dipping slightly out of screen behind the trees there. Okay, that was not Lucas. Here comes Lucas. Mama Storch is here. Samuel Storch says, Copper says hi. Second forerunner, the time was 47.08, 47.08. Grace Finverloa, bib number 1, loading in the start gate first today. The third and final forerunner with a 42.07, 42.07. Okay, we are getting racing underway. Grace in the start gate. Starting on that right course. Okay, 10:05, first racer, clear to start. Here we go. And Grace on course. Next up in the start gate will be Paige Peterson. Taking a look at this course, see how it's going to run. Ooh, little slip there, but keeping it under control. Okay, Paige Peterson on course. Sedona S next up in the start. For those of you that know Sedona, this last name looks like it's Sketchy Panic. Sedona Sketchy Panic. That's who's next. I'm kidding. Okay, Sedona on course. Coming through the finish, Grace with a 32.05, 32.05. Zia S in the start gate. Paige Peterson nearing the bottom. Sedona at the top of the course. Paige with a time of 29.19, 29.19. Zia up in the start gate. Sedona mid-course. As you're looking uphill at the course, you'll see that it's bumpy. Our run that we're racing on today is called Wonder Bump. It actually goes up and over like 6 road crossings of the service road that goes up the mountain here, servicing the mountain in the summertime. And those road crossings create big bumps that the skiers have to navigate. Paige Peterson came through that 29.19. Sedona with a 40.94, 40.94. Up in the start gate, Gracie Henning is next up, bib 5. Zia having trouble there. Bib 4. All right, Gracie Henning ripping through the gates, skiing aggressively at the top here. Next up in the start is going to be Gabrielle Seitz. Gabrielle up there getting ready. Gabrielle on course at the top. Gracie charging to the bottom. I think Gracie got through the dangerous part, maybe. Looking smooth across the finish here, reaching for it. Gracie 29.76 up in the start. Evie Barber is next up in the start. Gracie 29.76. Gabrielle mid-course, getting to the bumpy section. Evie Barber in the start. Evie on course at the top. Casey Benjaminson next up in the start gate. Gabrielle coming to the finish here. And Gabrielle 53.41, 53.41. Okay, Casey Benjaminson on course. Evie having trouble there. Next up in the start gate, Jenna Blatchford. Casey really getting aggressive here. Finding the traction, high edge angle. Jenna on course to the top. Madeline Lynn Smith next up in the start. This is bib 8. Bib 8. Casey 29.58, 29.58. Madeline ready in the start gate. Jenna mid-course. And Madeline on course to the top. Madeline Travis next up in the start gate. I like Jenna's style here coming through the gates. Jenna with a time of 29.41, 29.41. Travis in the start gate. Lynn Smith coming through mid-course, coming through the bumps. And Travis on course at the top. Emily Miller next up in the start. Madeline, 34.37, 34.37. Travis, mid-course. Emily Miller next up in the start gate. Lexi Orstein next up in the start. Emily on course. Travis getting to the bottom. And Madeline Travis, 45.85, 45.85. Lexi on course to the top. Hannah Ross next up in the start. Hannah Ross next up in the start. Lexi on course to the top. Hannah on course. Coming through the finish, we just had Emily Miller, 36.31, 36.31. Lexi Orstein coming to the bottom. Hannah at the top. Parker Bolyard next up in the start gate. Okay, Tally Nordic next up in the start. Parker on course to the top, coming to the bottom. Hannah, we just had Lexi come through with that 32.90, 32.90 for Lexi. Hannah just gets a time of 43.28. Tally Nordic next up in the start. Parker mid-course. Tally on course to the top. Bianca Cern in the start gate. Breeze says, great job, Gabby. Woohoo. Those of you watching that the far left of this of the start screen, we have trees blocking the angle, so it's a little hard to see. Parker just comes in with the 43.33. Bianca on course to the top. Tally mid-course. Yeah, guys watching the live feed, you see me making a few adjustments in here, trying to get you the best view I can. For those of you following along, we are broadcasting our own FM channel, FM 107.1, and Bib 17 having trouble up there. Okay, Anya Luke on course. Brooke Swanson next up in the start. Tally Nordic came through with a 52.77, 52.77. Okay, Sophie Kayan in the start gate. Anya Luke mid-course. Sophie on course to the top. Drew Abs next up in the start. Drew Abs in the start, coming to the finish. Anya Luke. 46.69. 46.69. Okay, Drew on course to the top. Sydney Crable in the start gate. Coming to the finish, Sophie gets a time of 38.64. Great job, Tally from Breeze. Those screens. 1, 2, 3, 7. Sydney loaded in the start gate. Mid-course, Drew. Oh, Sydney's on course at the top. Coming out fast. Drew being smooth. Sophie just came through with that 38.64. 38.64. Next up in the start, Sienna Hendrickson. And Drew with a time of 42.79, 42.79. Sienna on course to the top. Next up in the start gate, Patricia Casey. Sydney, 30.77, 30.77. Patricia Casey in the start gate, getting crouched, ready to go, and boom, on course. Patricia Casey at the top. Sienna Hendrickson coming to the bottom. Nice form. Lauren Disler in the start gate. Sienna comes through with a time of 29.67, keeping it under the 30-second mark, 29.67. Wait, I meant to give a happy sound effect. Patricia Casey is out. Next up in the start, Lauren. Okay, Annika Ort on course at the top. Mackenzie Lothengreen in the start gate. Lauren working her way down. And Lauren comes through with a time of 44.64. Mackenzie on course at the top. Josephine Rose will be next up in the start. I just heard a start stop. They're holding. I'm not sure why right now. Gate repair. Looks like our crew's going out there to fix the gate right now. Mackenzie mid-course. Josephine in the start gate. Our last finish through, Annika Ort, 31.78, 31.78. So right there, you see the skiers slipping, trying to smooth out the ruts. This course is going to get torn up throughout the day. I see that course worker up there screwing the gate in. I just heard they're going to grab some branches and shove in the hole to firm up the gate. But these aggressive ski racers hit these gates so hard that when the snow is thin, like of course we have this year, sometimes the gates rip out. Okay, Josephine on course. Reese Harmon in the start gate. All right, Reese Harmon in the start gate, mid-course, Josephine Rose. Josephine from School of Mines. Reese Harmon from Utah. Next up in the start, Peyton Jenkins. Peyton Jenkins, I heard Carter Jenkins giving you some encouragement on the YouTube feed. I think she can hear me at the top. All right, come through the finish. Josephine Rose, 45.96, 45.96. Reese Harmon, mid-course. Peyton Jenkins in the start gate. Here we go. Peyton from Air Force Academy. Sadie Gregory, University of Utah in the start gate next. Reese Harmon at the finish, 34.31, 34.31. Sadie Gregory in the start. Peyton Jenkins mid-course. Last racer through Reese with a 34.31. Peyton having trouble there as she dipped out of sight. Nicole Nolting in the start gate. Sadie Gregory mid-course. Nicole Nolting on course at the top. Sadie Gregory mid-course. Sadie from Utah. Nicole Nolting, Boulder. Faith Dodge next up in the start from CSU. Sadie Gregory, 35.21, 35.21. Faith Dodge on course at the top. Morley Schroeder next up in the start gate from CSU. And Nicole Nolting with the good time of 31.37, 31.37. Schroeder on course at the top. Kendall McLeod in the start gate. Kendall from Utah. 2 CSU racers currently on course at the same time right now. Faith Dodge, followed by Morley. Kendall on course at the top. Ellie Dunham from Boulder in the start gate. Faith Dodge came through with a time of 42.85, 42.85. We've got Schroeder, bib 34 with a 39.70. 39.70. Kendall charging. Ellie Dunham next up in the start. Kendall comes through with a finish of 35.99. 35.99. There's a drill right here behind Andrew. Andrew, grab that drill for him. Andrew. Okay, Kendall with the time of 35.99, 35.99. Course hold for small repairs here at the bottom. Way to go, Josephine from Fixes House Stuff, 9159. Marshall Roach, I'll do my best to get those team names in there. Sometimes I get cross-eyed looking at all the data here. But thanks for the recommendation. All right, course is clear. Okay, Ellie Dunham, 3.6 from Boulder. Getting ready and blasting out of the start gate. Next up will be all right, Gianna Wall. Gianna Wall next up in the start gate from CSU. Gianna on course. Charlotte Harter next up in the start gate. Also from Boulder. Ellie Dunham. Ellie coming to the bottom, 32.81, 32.81. Charlotte on course at the top. Abigail Storch next up in the start gate. Abigail from Utah. Gianna Wall, CSU, working her way to the bottom. Mid-course, Charlotte Harter from Boulder. And Wall with a time of 38.25, 38.25. Abigail Storch on course at the top. Grace Jensen next up in the start. Okay, bib 38 having some trouble. Okay, Abigail, mid-course, smacking those gates down. Next up in the start, Grace Jensen from Boulder. Abigail from Utah crosses with a time of 36.63, 36.63. Grace Jensen held in the start. So sometimes on the live feed, you know, I've got this little selfie camera here. I'm not sure why. You can give me some feedback on if you like it or not. KJ Storch says, "Great run, Abby." Anyways, sometimes you'll see me talking and you won't hear me. That's because I have what's called a noise gate installed so that the microphone only picks up loud sounds. So sometimes I have to talk to over to my left is Porter, who's actually running the timing computer. And so I have to talk with him or talk on the radio. So you'll see me take the mic away and you can't hear me talk, but you'll see me talking, but you can't hear me. But it's not because I'm muted. Okay, Grace Jensen on course at the top. Madeline McCarver next up in the start gate from CSU. Grace from Boulder. Also here at the venue, we are blasting music, but I don't have music in the live feed so that I don't get copyright flagged or the video muted or taken down. So just letting you guys know. Okay, Madeline McCarver on course at the top. Next up on the start, Alexandra Percassi from Utah. Come through the finish. Grace with a 35.69, 35.69. McCarver mid-course. Some slippers coming through here. Alexandra on course at the top. Next up in the start, Hattie Sloan. Hattie on course at the top. Emily Bastille in the start gate. Coming through the finish, we just had McGarver with a 44.03, 44.03. Alexandra coming to the bottom. Hattie mid-course. Emily ready to go. Emily from CSU. Emily on course at the top. Alexandra from Utah coming to the finish. 43.57, 43.57. Hattie Sloan from Boulder. Looking good, smashing the gates. Ruthie Hilding next up in the start gate. Ruthie in the start gate from Utah. Hattie Sloan with a time of 34.69, 34.69. Emily Bastille having trouble. That's bib 44. Out. Okay, Nia. Usheva. Nia in the start gate from Boulder. She can hear me making a sad attempt is what I just heard. Okay, you want a sad attempt? Nia Usheva. Okay, she's on course. She can't correct me anymore. Okay, bib 4-5 got kicked out right there where it goes out of sight. A lot of trouble has come from that spot. As you get to the edge of the course, the bumps get a little bit more exaggerated. So that far course, as they come over the bumps, they're going to get extra gravity as they G out, and then they're going to get light as basically they're bucked into sort of an airborne situation. Up at the top, Julia Bastille on course. Catherine Hornberg next up in the start gate. Both from CSU coming to the finish. Nia from Boulder with a time of 38.17, 38.17. Catherine Hornberg next up in the start gate from CSU. Also from CSU, Julia mid-course right now. Catherine on course at the top. Next up in the start, Eva Malloy. And Julia from CSU with a time of 50.56, 50.56. Eva on course to the top. Abigail Stonefelt next up in the start gate from Boulder. Bib 48 gets kicked out of the course from that same mid-course position we keep talking about. And 4-9, Eva, same spot. Okay, Abigail on course at the top from Boulder. Margaret Monaghan from CSU next up in the start gate. Maggie. Okay, Maggie on course. Anastasia Maynard next up in the start gate from Boulder. Abigail from Boulder coming to the finish here. Gets a full run, 39.27 for Abigail, 39.27. Margaret on course. Anastasia in the start gate. We are down to our last 5 racers for the women. We're going to slow the pace down to make sure that everyone finishes cleanly. Anastasia Maynard on course. Leah Borden next up in the start gate from Boulder. Anastasia also from Boulder. Margaret Maggie nearing the bottom from CSU. And Maggie at the finish, 48.31, 48.31. Anastasia mid-course. Leah Borden in the start gate, ready to drop. So we're going to wait until we're going to have one racer on course from here to the finish to make sure there's no hiccups or mistakes with timing. That way no one has to do a rerun. So Anastasia from Boulder with a 46.52, 46.52. Leah Borden on course from Boulder. Elizabeth Bauer from Boulder in the start gate. Hey, Marshall Roach, 2432. What arena are you guys in? Where are you watching from? Hit me up on chat. All right, Grace Harris next up in the start. Elizabeth Bauer on course. Leah coming through with a finish time of 39.43, 39.43. Grace Harris in the start gate. Oh, the finish arena. You're right here. Okay. Elizabeth Bauer nearing the finish. Bib 54 from Boulder, 52.92, 52.92. Grace Harris on course at the top. Anna Rosenkrantz next up at the start. Oh, and Grace Harris slipped out early. Ski popped off. Okay, final racer, Anna Rosenkrantz, also from Boulder. Anna on course at the top. Okay, Anna mid-course. Keeping it safe. Oh, there's a slippery spot. Oh my gosh, you see that? That was crazy. It is so slippery right there. Looks like she did not get kicked off course. Nope, she did miss a gate there. 5.6. That is crazy how slick that mid-course section is. I was watching closely and I felt like she handled it responsibly, and it's just like just totally slid out. Finish. Can you step forward out of the finish eyes? Forward or back? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Small. We are getting ready to transition to. Okay, we're transitioning to the men. They're going to be skiing the left course. That's lookers right. We are just confirming faults from the mid-course judges on the radio. Okay, I just heard finish get called clear. We're gonna have some forerunners run down that that skier's left course, lookers right. Okay, we are calling clear from the bottom to the top, timing clear, finish clear, lower course clear, mid course clear, upper clear, start clear. Okay, first forerunner headed for skier's left course. This is the first time we've seen skis on this course. According to what I've been told, this should have a little better feel. This is Lucas Maribel. For forerunner Maribel will be next. Okay, Maribel on course at the top. Lucas coming to the hairpin. Oh, ski clips a hairpin. His ski just barely clipped one of those gates. All right, Maribel mid-course. Luke Murphy, third and final forerunner here. Maribel mid-course, going into the shadow, the shade over there. Again, now, I was saying that as you get closer to the edge of the course, the bumps get more pronounced. So the middle of the course has a smoothish feel, and the further left they go, or lookers right, it gets a little rougher. Okay, forerunners. First forerunner got a time of 43.13. Second forerunner, 45.67. And Luke with a time of 32.15. 32.15. Looks like we've got Carter Jenkins from Arvada joining us. We are getting ready. We've got our first man on course, bib one, Tucker Schultz. Tucker Schultz from Western Colorado University. Tucker sending it. Oh my goodness. Okay, next up in the start, Charles Carline. Oh, gets through that chicane. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Tucker Schultz on course to the top. I'm sorry, Tucker Schultz at the finish. Charles Carline next up in the start. Tucker with a time of 24.99. Gets a cheer. Tucker smashed one of those gates, broke the gate in half.
Oh, shots fired! Oh, shots fired!
Okay. Charles, okay, they're screwing a gate back in. Charles from University of Wyoming in the start gate. Course is clear. Charles on course. Jason Seitz next up in the start. The start athlete just changed. Dylan Kelly, bib 4 is next up. Dylan Kelly from Boulder. Come through the finish. Charles with a time of 33.99, 33.99. Dylan Kelly on course. Skylar Clapp next up in the start gate. Marshall Roach says, that's why we can't have nice things, Tucker, because Tucker breaks them. Okay, Skylar Clapp on course. Tanner Rosick next up in the start. Coming to the finish, Dylan Kelly with a time of 26.86. Tanner in the start gate, a local Colorado Mesa University athlete. Spencer Peterson next up in the start. Tanner on course. Skylar coming to the bottom. Dylan Kelly just came through with the 26.86, 26.86, and Skylar Clapp 25.45. That's a good one. Spencer from CSU on course at the top. Cannon Parsons next up in the start. Tanner Rosick coming to the bottom. Tanner, CMU with a 28.69, 28.69. Next up in the start, Cannon Parsons from Air Force Academy. No, that just changed. Sean Collins was bib 8. Sean Collins on course. TJ Weaver next up in the start. TJ, winner of yesterday's dual slalom racing. Keep an eye on him. Spencer coming through at the time of 26.82, 26.82. TJ Weaver on course. Keep an eye on this guy. He's going to put on a show, but also put on a show. Sean Collins is no joke. Collins goes 26.03. Hamilton Peterson next up in the start gate. TJ Weaver getting loose, to say the least, there on that one turn, coming through the hairpin, keeping it together. Weaver, 25.11. 25.11. That is second fastest. Tucker Schultz holding down the top spot right now, 24.99. Hamilton Peterson on course. Colby Malpass next up in the start gate. Bib 11, Hamilton Peterson with a 27.78. 27.78. Yeah, University of Denver, Hamilton Peterson just had a good run. Colby Malpass, CMU athlete in the start. Yeah, Tucker Schultz having an amazing first run, getting it under the 25-second mark, 24.99. All right, Colby Malpass had an amazing qualifying run yesterday. He somehow 360'd a couple times, caught air, and didn't get bucked out of the course, stayed on course. Colby, you will get a time later. Okay, I just heard that Colby got a disqualification. Sorry, buddy. I was rooting for you. Okay, Jackson Rance, bib 14 from Utah, in the gate. Jackson on course. Clayton Serber from CSM next up in the start, School of Mines. Okay, Clayton on course. Ned McBride from Fort Lewis in the start gate. Jackson Rance from Utah, 26.57, 26.57. Parker Schmidt next up in the start gate. Ned McBride on course. Parker from CSU. Layton with the time of 27.21, 27.21. Parker Schmidt in the start gate from CSU. Ned McBride mid-course. Parker on course at the top. Bib 16 going straight. Keep an eye on him. Oh! Parker Schmidt catches a gate with an edge. Full OTB over the bars. Seems okay. He is not injured. Good job, Parker. Okay, Nicholas Atkin in the start gate from Western WCU. Course repairs going on. What was okay? All right, Nicholas Atkin on course at the top. Jasper Schmidt next up in the start gate. Nicholas throwing it in. And Slalom is entertaining. You never know what's going to happen. Jeez, look at that. Basically falling. And oh, speaking of falling. Speaking of falling. Okay. I'm ready. All right, Jasper's time, 27.23, 27.23. Next up on the start, Noah Bagley, bib 20. Noah, on course. Noah from Western, Evan Elmendorf on course at the top. Next up in the start, Connor Hamlin. Noah with a time of 28.24, 28.24. Evan mid-course, Connor Hamlin next up in the start. Connor on course at the top. Luke Kirchmeier in the start gate. Connor from Utah catching a little edge there up at the top. Luke on course from Air Force. At the finish, Evan with a time of 33.23, 33.23. Ryder Sizek, CSU athlete. Oh, skier down. That must be bib 22. All right, recovery, good, bib 22, good recovery getting out of the way. Luke Kirchmeier gets a clean run, 27.44, 27.44. Ryder Sizek is next up in the start gate from CMU. Course is clear, ready to start. Ryder Sizek. Ryder blasting out of the gate. Next up behind Ryder is Harrison Anderson from University of Denver. Next up in the start. Oh, Ryder getting a little skips there. And Harrison Anderson on course. Next up in the start, Kingsley Alsop. Alsop. Ryder finishing strong with a 30.02, 30.02. Wait, I keep hitting the button. I want to give him a cheer. Okay, Riley Schmidt next up at the start gate. Kingsley on course to the top. Harrison coming to the bottom. 25, that's Harrison having trouble. Riley Schmidt on course to the top. Noah Kirby next up in the start. Kingsley with a time of 29.32, keeping it under the 30-second mark. Riley mid-course. Noah Kirby from Air Force on course at the top. Riley from Boulder coming to the bottom. Next up at the start, Dylan Schur. Riley with the time of 28.31, 28.31. Dylan on course at the top. Dylan Thompson from Boulder next up in the start. Dylan Sure, a CMU athlete. Noah Kirby with a time of 29.82. Dylan Thompson clicking the poles together at the top, blasting out of the start. Dylan on course. Frank Brandt from Utah next up in the start gate. Dylan getting Cindy here, coming to the, well, both Dylans. Sure, coming to the bottom. Thompson getting Cindy, really skiing aggressively. Sure from CMU with a 35.70, 35.70. Thompson is going after it. I saw the bottom of both of his skis just now, catching air somehow. 26.79, 26.79 for Thompson. Finish, watch those eyes. Finish, watch those timing eyes. Frank Brandt from Utah next up in the start. Becky Norton says, nice run, King. I'm guessing King knows who he is. Okay, Frank Brandt from Utah in the start gate. Small course pairs. Frank on course. Jacob Kovacs next up in the start from CSU. Oh man, where that bump falls away right there, every one of them gets a little sketchy. Jacob Kovacs on course. Edward Cohen. Coin. Edward in the start gate. Coming through the finish, Frank with a time of 29.65, 29.65. Jacob, mid-course, gate repairs happening live right in front of him, and gate gets fixed. Woohoo! Good hustle, team. Edward in the start gate from DU. Jacob from CSU, mid-course. Look at these live gate changes in front of the racers. Slalom tears the gates out of the snow. That was 32. Okay, that was bib 32, does not make it to the finish. Owen Wood from WCU in the start gate. Owen on course at the top. Edward from DU coming to the finish. That run is a 32.08. Edward, 32.08. Alexander Ball from CSM next up in the start gate. Alex on course. Behind him is going to be Finn Fisher. Nearing the bottom, Owen Wood. From Western. Owen with the time of 30.79, 30.79. Finn Fisher on course at the top. Clayton Johnson from Air Force in the start gate. Oh, problem. 3.5. Clayton Johnson on course at the top. Johan Friesen from WCU next up in the start. Finn Fisher finishes 29.07. Clayton mid-course. Clayton gets a good start. Next up in the start is going to be Ethan Squire from CSM. Yeah, Clayton reaching for it. That was a good run. 29.60, 29.60. Ethan on course to the top. Next up in the start, Harrison Wilson. Friesen with 33.63, 33.63. Harrison Wilson on course from Utah at the top. Ethan mid-course. Zachary Higbee next up in the start gate. Ethan with the time of 32.95, 32.95. Zach or Harrison getting a little bit loose there, keeping it together. John Scanlon in the start gate. Harrison holds it together with a time of 29.25, 29.25. John from Utah on course at the top. Zachary from CMU coming to the bottom here. Parker Anderson from CSM next up in the start. Parker on course at the top. James McNamara in the start gate. Bib 41 having trouble. Just got radio. Looks like John got through a clean run. 29.35. John Scanlon 29.35. Parker Anderson on course. James McNamara on course at the top. Raymond Harvey next up in the start gate. Parker with the good time, 25.65.
Oh, shots fired! Oh, shots fired!
Raymond Harvey on course at the top. James McNamara gets a good one. James, 27.89, 27.89. Edward Brookhart next up in the start. Edward on course at the top. Francis Roth next up in the start. Raymond Harvey with a 37.41. Francis Roth on course at the top. Edward coming to the bottom. Edward with the time of 32.84. All right, back up at the top. Cannon Parsons made it for a provisional rerun. Missed the first run. Cannon on course at the top, bib 8. At the bottom, we just had Edward with a 32.84. Francis Roth nearing the bottom, smashing those gates. Bib 47, Roth from Boulder with a 29.98. 29.98. Tyler Bartik next up in the start gate. And Tyler on course. Cannon 28.08, 28.08. Next up in the start gate, Daniel Standage from Utah. Cannon just finished from Air Force. Tyler Bartik also from Air Force. Daniel Standage on course at the top. Palmer Lyons next up in the start. That's bib 12. Tyler with a good run, 28.72, 28.72. Palmer Lyons on course at the top. Oh, bib 48. Daniel skips out. Shoulder shrug of disappointment. Nico Tweedy from CSM next up in the start. Palmer Lyons from CMU mid-course. Okay, Nico in the start gate. Palmer comes through with a finish of 34.08, 34.08. Nico on course at the top. Jaden Spitz next up in the start gate. Jaden from Boulder. Jaden on course. Ashton Hicks next up in the start from Utah. Nico from CSM. Oh, coming to the mid-course. Jaden getting squirrely. Nope. Jaden doesn't like it. 51. All right, Nico just got a 33.38. Maxwell Harper from CSM in the start gate. Ashton on course. Nico just got that 33.38. Maxwell on course. Nikolai check-in in the start gate. Bib 52 having trouble. Starting gate just changed to Kai Jefferson. Kai on course. Zachary Hall from Utah next up in the start. Kai from Boulder. Maxwell Harper, CSM coming to the bottom. Zachary on course at the top, coming through the finish. Maxwell Harper, 39.56, 39.56. Ivan Jensen from Boulder next up in the start. Zach at the top from Utah. Kai Jefferson from Boulder coming to the finish here. Kai with a 35.56, 35.56. Ivan Jensen from Boulder on course at the top. Marcus Hirschbruner Reist in the start gate. At the finish, Zachary Hall with a 36.48, 36.48. Marcus on course at the top. Jack Roos Inars in the start gate from Boulder. At the finish, Ivan. Ooh, Skier getting loose. Skier. I can't tell if he stayed in. It looks like it. Okay, Ivan with a 35.58, 35.58. Marcus going for a ride mid-course there. Jack on course at the top. Ian Blakemore from Utah next up in the start gate. Coming through the finish, Marcus with a time of 32.70. 32.70, doing it the hard way. Oh, speaking of hard way, we got some 360s going on from Jack. Losing a ski. Ian Blakemore in the start gate from Utah. Okay, Ian on course. Trip Malden next up in the start from Boulder. Oh, geez. Major edge catch. Ian, wow. I swear I saw his leg flex from down here. He caught an edge so hard. Double eject. I'm glad to see him on his legs. That looked scary. That was bib 60. Okay, up at the top, Trip Malden on course from Boulder. Next up on the start, Matt Diedrich from Boulder. Course conditions tricky today. These slalom turns ask a lot of edge angle. Back seat. Okay, slows it down. It's better to finish than not get a time, Trip. That was a good adjustment. Good save, Trip. Okay, Matt Diedrich next up in the start. Trip from Boulder coming through with that time. I hear the crowd. 32.84. 32.84 for Trip. Michael Startek in the start from Boulder. Matt, mid-course. Michael Startek, 6'3", is going to be the final racer of the first runs. Oh, Matt kicks out right at the bottom. That was 62. Man, I thought Matt had it, and the last couple turns got him. Yeah, he says he thought he had it too. Okay, Michael, final racer from Boulder, getting through clean. Going in and out of the shadows right there could be visually tricky for him. We had a few lose it right at the end. And Michael gets a good run, 42.97, 42.97. That is going to wrap up our morning runs. We are going to go through the radio list of did not finish disqualifications. We're going to stay streaming. They are going to cycle back around. And we'll pick up the second runs as quickly as we can. So stay with us. Okay, those of you staying with us, second runs are scheduled at 11:45. It is 11:18 right now. So we are looking to restart racing at 11:45. I'm just going to keep the live stream going so it's easy to find. Okay, women's start just got pushed back to 12. Women's start pushed back to 12 for those of you that can hear me. Hey, Porter, when is the new start list getting sent?
It's already sent.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's already sent.
Okay, testing 1. Confirm, I
Good.
can't see anything.
Yeah.
Okay, testing 2.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a triple check on the far side. Testing 2. Okay, testing 1 and 2.
That worked.
Okay, timing just got pushed back 5 more minutes. 12:05. 12:05. The race. Yeah. Okay, we are waiting for our final racers and crew to cycle around to the top. While we're waiting, I'd like to give a quick sponsor read. Lightner Poma, we move people. Lightner Poma of America offers a complete line of cable transport systems. Timberline Bank, a full-service, independent, and locally owned bank. The bank was chartered in October 2004 by its employees and local investors from Grand Junction, Aspen, and Montrose. Each of their markets has their own leadership and president, allowing them to better serve its communities because decisions are made at a local level. Shaw Construction. Since 1962, Shaw Construction has provided professional construction services throughout the Rocky Mountain region with a mission to build buildings and relationships that last. The Greater Grand Junction Sports Commission is a nonprofit agency with the mission of representing Grand Junction and Mesa County in recruiting, supporting, and creating sporting events that positively impact our economy and community. Reams and Reams Law, established in 1955, Charles and Zachary Reams head up the private law firm specializing in estate and probate matters, including conservatorships, guardianships, estate litigation and will contest, estate planning, estate and trust administration, fiduciary work. They accept appointments. Man, they do so much. Personal representative, social security representative, payee, handle many other issues, including landlord, tenant, evictions, business law, foreclosures, wrongful death. Reams and Reams has been a part of the community for over 3 generations. Intermountain Health and Rocky Mountain Orthopedics. Rocky Mountain Orthopedics, keeping your care close to home without compromising the quality of your care. We're your partner in health and healing at Intermountain Health, reimagining the way they deliver care by taking a proactive approach to help you stay well. Elbow care, foot and ankle care, hand and wrist care, hip care, knee care, non-surgical spine care, occupational health, and work injury rehabilitation, orthopedic surgery, orthopedics, physical therapy, rehabilitation. If you're not feeling well, go see Intermountain Health at Rocky Mountain Orthopedics. Dufford, Waldeck, and Law, responsive, experienced, focused for over 50 years. Founded in 1964, DJ Dufford Waldeck started with a focus on water, real estate, and agricultural law. Today, 16 attorneys offer a wide range of legal services, real estate, civil litigation, estate planning, and more, covering Colorado and Utah and Wyoming. Rocky Toppers and Campers, your one-stop shop for truck accessories, truck campers, toppers, cargo solutions, tonneau covers, accessories like truck and trailer accessories, and installation. Towie Adventure Tow Bungees for mountain bikes, skis, motorcycles, water sports, dog leashes, and more. Check out the Towie Adventure Tow Bungee to help you get to the top. All Sound Designs, technology simplified, commercial and home electronic installation. Home automation is all about making things that you use easy and smart. The Board and Buckle Ski and Cyclery. Board and Buckle is uniquely qualified to serve your needs with years of experience with bikes and skis. Board and Buckle, a big supporter of CMU ski racing. Okay. Your radio chatter. Things are happening. Getting ready to go. It is 12 o'clock, 12:01. Okay, here we go. Clear from the bottom. Timing clear. Okay, here we go. Timing clear. Finish clear. Lower course clear. Mid course clear. Forerunner getting ready to drop. This is to test final timing, make sure that our starts and stops are working. Nick, Forerunner Nick. We're going to be starting off with the women on Looker's right. It will be their left course. This will be their second runs of the day. Colby Malpass, CMU athlete, will be our second run. Whew, it looks slippery up there. And Colby on course. Forerunner 29.73, 29.73. Parker will be our third Forerunner. Here comes Colby Malpass. I think he's got a score to settle with this course. And Colby with a 17.21, fastest run of the weekend. I'm just kidding. He says thanks. That was a 29.91. Parker, mid-course. All right, we've got some kind comments coming in on the chat. Hannah Ross in the start gate, bib 14. Last forerunner just got a 31.80. Colby, your time actually was a 29.91. Coming in on the YouTube chat. Let's go, girls. Go, Abby Storch. We are loving this in Michigan. Thanks, Powderhorn, for hosting the races this weekend and live streaming. We are out-of-state parents and don't get to watch our kids ski very often. This is fabulous. Thank you. Go Utes! I got a little yell from the crowd there. Okay, Hannah Ross loaded in the start gate. First racer in the gate. And Hannah Ross on course. Faith Dodge from CSU next up in the start. Hannah is from Air Force Academy. This left course goes in and out of the shadows, makes visibility tricky on this bright sunny day. It goes from sort of a whitewash look to like just black is what it looks like when you're skiing it. Faith Dodge on course to the top. Drew Abs next up in the start gate from University of Denver. Faith Dodge, CSU athlete. Bib 14 had trouble at the bottom. Okay, we got it. Drew Abs on course to the top. Next up in the start gate, Sedona S. Sketch Panic. Sketch Piank. I don't know. I tried, Sedona. I tried. Faith Dodge, second run, 40.06, 40.06. Drew Abs mid-course. Sedona in the start gate. Sedona from CSM. McKinsey, Lothan Green next up in the start. Aunt Chris and Uncle John from Ohio rooting on Abigail Storch. Go Hattie Sloan, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Yeah, I think I didn't give that enough. Okay, McKinsey on course at the top. Morley Schroeder in the start gate. Coming through the finish, we had Drew Abs with a 43.52, 43.52. Let's go, Gabby Stites. Finish strong. Fort Lewis Skyhawks soaring through the snow. At the finish, Drew Abs, 43.52, 43.52. Sedona coming to the bottom. Okay, Abigail Stonefelt on course at the top. Sophie Can in the start gate. Last skier through McKinsey with a 39.53. Marley Schroeder, 37.66, 37.66. Abigail mid-course from Boulder. Sophie in the start gate from CSU. Skier out. Is that 50? That course looks really slippery, especially in the top where the sun's hitting it. Okay, Sophie on course from CSU. Gianna Wall in the start gate from CSU. Wall on course at the top. Okay, Sophie just had trouble at the bottom. That was bib 20. In the start, Leah Borden just got changed. Leah in the start gate from Boulder. Wall coming to the bottom. Leah on course. And Wall with a 36.16, 36.16. Leah Borden mid-course. Nia Usheva in the start gate from Boulder. Nia on course. Abigail Storch from Utah next up in the start. Leah with a time of 38.45, 38.45. Abigail Storch getting ready in the start. Mid-course, Nia. Abigail on course. Next up in the start, Emily Miller from DU. Oh, something happened. Skier down. Skier down. This is 4-6. All right. Nia getting up. Okay, Emily Miller next up in the start gate. Abigail coming through with the clean run. 34.68. 34.68 for Abigail. Emily Miller from DU in the start gate. Okay, Emily Miller on course. Kendall from Utah next up in the start gate. Sharon Storch says, "Hi, Abby. Abby, way to go." Grace Jensen next up in the start gate. Kendall on course. Emily Miller coming to the bottom. Grace Jensen next up in the start from Boulder. Kendall from Utah mid-course coming through the finish. Emily from DU with a 37.90, 37.90. Grace Jensen on course at the top. Sadie Gregory next up in the start. Kendall from Utah with a time of 34.57, 34.57. Sadie Gregory from Utah in the start gate. Grace Jensen from Boulder mid-course. Sadie on course at the top. Hattie Sloan in the start gate. Hattie Sloan in the start gate. Grace Jensen with a time of 35.46, 35.46. Madeline Smith next up in the start gate. Sadie Gregory coming to the bottom. Oh, Sadie has a problem right at the last second. Exits stage left. That's bib 31. Madeline in the start gate. Hattie Sloan mid-course. Maddie looking good. Low and wide. Gets through the hairpin cleanly. Reese Harmon from Utah next up in the start. Madeline on mid-course. Coming through the finish. Hattie Sloan with a 32.77. 32.77. Madeline from CMU. Local racer looking good here. These last couple turns have been tricky. There it is, reaching for the finish. Bib 10, Madeline with a 33.35, 33.35. Reese Harmon from Utah, mid-course. In the start gate, Lexi Ornstein. Madeline goes by Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Good run. All right. Lexi on course at the top. Ellie Dunham from Boulder next up in the start gate. Reese Harmon coming to the bottom. Reese. Bib 29 with a 33.96, 33.96. Ellie Dunham in the start gate from Boulder. Lexi from Utah, mid-course. Ellie on course at the top. Grace Vinverloa from Air Force Academy in the start gate. Coming through the finish, Lexi with a 32.42. Grace Vinverloa in the start gate. On course, Annika Ort from Boulder in the start gate. Ellie Dunham from Boulder coming to the finish. Ellie looking good. Good reach, 32.35. Ellie extremely consistent. First run was 32.81. Second run, 32.35. So that blue course is looking a little faster, or the left course looking a little faster for everybody. Annika Ort on course. Nicole Nolting next up in the start for Boulder. Oh, Grace from Air Force. Trouble, out. That's bib 1. There you go.
Oh, shots fired!
Big bucks, no whammy, stop!
Stop it, oh.
Okay, Sydney from Boulder next up in the start gate. Nicole Nolting, mid-course, coming through the finish. Annika Ort, 31.77, 31.77. The crowd asked for some negative sound effects for the number 1 kicking out in the last couple turns. Sydney on course at the top. Gracie Henning next up in the start gate. Coming through the finish, Nicole with a 31.34, 31.34. Annie says, yeah, Hattie Sloan, excellent run. Sienna Hendrickson next up in the start. Gracie Henning on course at the top. Coming through the finish, Sydney with a 29.47. Sienna Hendrickson from Utah on course. Gracie Henning, local from CMU, with a good time, getting it below 30 seconds, 29.65. Casey Benjaminson from Boulder next up in the start gate. Sienna Hendrickson mid-course. Casey on course. Jenna Blatchford next up in the start gate. Gracie Henning just came through with that 29.65. Times are getting faster. Sienna from Utah just finished with a 28.82. Next up in the start gate, Jenna Blatchford. Oh, skier down. Casey Benjaminson. That must be bib 8. Sienna Hendrickson currently in the lead overall after the combined 2 runs. Okay, Casey making a mistake in the upper half there. Jenna Blatchford on course. Paige Peterson next up in the start. Jenna from Boulder. Paige Peterson from Utah. Okay, Paige Peterson on course at the top. Parker Boyard next up in the start from WCU. Coming through the finish, Jenna with a 29.55. 29.55 for Jenna. Parker Boyard on course at the top. Alexandra from Utah next up in the start gate. And Paige Peterson, 29.17. Alexandra on course at the top. Madeline McCarver in the start gate from CSU. Parker Bolyard from WCU coming to the bottom. It's bib 15. McCarver on course at the top. Lauren Disler next up in the start from CMU. Parker Bolyard, 42.70. Parker Kimberly says, let's go, Parker, go Western. Lauren Disler in the start. McGarver, mid-course, coming to the bottom. Alexandra from Utah, 40.80. That's a good run. 40.80, 3 seconds faster than the first run. Great job. Lauren Disler on course at the top. Madeline Travis in the start gate. Travis on course at the top. Josephine Rose next up in the start gate. Coming through the finish, McGarver, 43.56. 43.56. Oh, we had a crash on this bottom part of the course that keeps having troubles. This must be bib 25.
Oh, shots fired!
Oh. Okay, Anastasia Maynard in the start gate from Boulder. Josephine Rose at the top. Travis coming to the bottom. Madeline Travis, 46.23, 46.23. Anya Luke from CSM in the start gate. Josephine Rose getting close to the finish. Luke on course at the top. Margaret Monaghan in the start gate. Josephine Rose just finished with a 49.44. Anastasia from Boulder coming to the finish here. 45.94, 45.94. Margaret Monaghan on course at the top. Julia Bastille in the start gate. Anya Luke coming to the bottom. Julia on course at the top, coming through the finish. Luke with a 45.03. Tally Nordic next up in the start gate. On the chat, let's go Tally and Gabby. Skyhawk scoring skiers from the fort. Tally Nordic on course. Elizabeth Bauer next up in the start. Skier down in that same spot right before the finish. Decided to do push-ups mid-run. All right, that's Margaret. Must be bib 51. Oh, another one. Same spot. Okay, Elizabeth Bauer in the start gate. Tally Nordic coming down. Julia having trouble there. Elizabeth Bauer on course at the top. Tally making a safe, clean run through this treacherous, must be about 3 turns from the finish, is just eating people's lunch. Gabrielle Seitz from Fort Lewis in the start gate. Tally gets a time, 48.84, 48.84. Elizabeth Bauer on course. Watch the wires. Zia from CSU in the start gate. Gabrielle on course at the top. Elizabeth Bauer coming to the finish. Elizabeth is off. Difficult course today. Zia at the top. Mid-course, Gabrielle Seitz. In the start gate, Evie Barber from DU. Evie Barber from DU. Gabrielle with a 54.53, 54.53. Zia down, but oh, the slump of disappointment. What bib was that? Okay, Brooke Swanson in the gate. Bianca from CSU on course. And Barber with a time of 30.94, 30.94. Patricia Casey on course at the top. Peyton Jenkins next up in the start for Air Force. Bianca coming to the finish. Not happy with that. Goes straight through the last couple. It's going to be bib 17. Patricia Casey on course. Peyton Jenkins on course. Charlotte Harder next up in the start. Something is going on with these last couple turns. I think the skiers can hear me at the top, but they must not be hearing me at the top. Hint, hint. Okay, Patricia navigates it, gets through bib 24 with a 45 flat, 45.00. Charlotte on course at the top, mid-course, Peyton Jenkins, Emily Bastille from CSU in the start gate. Peyton coming to us from Air Force. Peyton skips out, loses a ski in the middle of the course. Charlotte Harder charging at her. This is going to be interesting. Scrambling, and Charlotte hesitates. Charlotte, bib 38. Charlotte got interrupted on that run with a 34.86, but 34.86, not bad. Emily, mid-course in the start gate, Catherine Homburg. Eva from Boulder in the start gate. Okay, Emily gets through that tricky spot, 46.74, 46.74. Up at the top, Eva's on course. Grace Harris next up in the start from Boulder. From CSU, Catherine Hornberg coming to the bottom, bib 48. Grace Harris in the start gate. Four eight. This course is crazy. We're having a hard time getting people to finish at all, regardless of speed. Anna Rosenkrantz in the start gate. Grace Harris mid-course. Okay, final racer in the start gate. Bib 55, Grace Harris. Oh, out. That's bib 55. Okay, final racer, bib 56, Anna Rosenkrantz on course from Boulder. Any racers that want to come give us a course report, I'd really appreciate it. Any racers that can come up and talk to me on the microphone, that would be awesome. Hey, Anna just needs to tiptoe through these last couple turns. So oddly, where the problem okay. Okay. I mean, no, the course is gnarly. I'm amazed at how difficult this course is. So I've got some I've got some skiers coming up here to give me some course reports. We are getting ready to transition over to the men skiing skiers right, lookers left.
All right, we got a course report right here from Lexi Ornstein.
Hi guys, I'm Lexi. Plays pretty well today, so you guys probably want to hear my course report. Starts out pretty fast, pretty grindy. I know I killed it at the top. Sienna didn't. She got first place in the second run, by the way. And then you're cruising on down, there's a delay, and you want to stay on the inside ski for that one. And then you get to the flush and you're like, oh my god, I'm going so fast, I have to slow down. And then you cruise through those 3 gates. Then you get to the hairpin and you're like, oh my god, I'm almost at the finish. And then go bang, ding, ow. Hopefully you make it through that. And then you tuck through the finish. And then do a whirly bird. And then that's how you get the fastest time, like me. 4 seconds out from the top, by the way. Run the tuck through the finish. If you're not, you're a pussy. Over.
Here we go, clearing from the bottom up. Timing clear, finish clear.
I'm going to hand it back over to my dear friend Andrew.
Forerunner Colby getting ready to go. And Colby blasts out of the gate.
All right.
Nick will be our second forerunner. Okay, forerunners, first forerunner was 32:17. Second one was 28:58. I show Ethan Squire first up in the start. Okay, Ethan Squire from CSM on course. Edward Brookhart from Air Force Academy next up in the start. Edward Brookhart on course. Trip Malden next up in the start. Coming through the finish, Ethan Squire, 34.92. 34.92 for the second run. from CSM, Edward from Air Force, and Trip Malden from Boulder in the start gate. Ooh, Edward looking crazy. Edward goes behind the tree, disappears, skating back uphill, back around the gate. I don't hear any radio chatter. Oh, up at the top, Trip having trouble. Edward from DU in the start gate. Edward Brookhart coming through the finish.
Like all of our races have been so much smaller. I kept asking in the group chat.
Okay, catching up here. Ethan with that 34.92. Brookhart with a 46.23. Edward with a 35.65. Owen Wood, 32.89. Ryder Sizik on course. Francis Roth next up in the start gate. Ryder Sizik with a 33.13, 33.13. Francis Roth, mid-course. Noah Kirby, on course at the top. Frank Brandt from Utah in the start gate. Noah Kirby from Air Force. Francis Roth coming to the bottom from Boulder.
Up top.
And Roth with a 32.76, 32.76. That red course is way slower. I'm sorry, the right course is way slower than the left course. Up at the top, Frank on course. Clayton Johnson from Air Force Academy in the start gate.
I'm going Frank on Frank. If Frankie Brandt can ski as good as he can sling a yo-yo, I think he could pull every girl on the entire world.
Kirby with a 32.36.
Too bad he's taken.
Clayton Johnson on course at the top. John Scanlon next up in the start. Frank with a 31.84, 31.84.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Any
Oh, shots fired!
No.
John on course at the top. Kingsley
John Scanlon.
from CSM in the start gate.
John Scanlon, also a rugby player over at Utah. He's a big guy. He's charismatic. He's kind. Quite frankly, he's very beautiful. And he's still single, ladies.
Clayton with a 31.10. Kingsley from CSM in the start gate.
Look at him come through the finish. Oh, shaking his head. I don't think he liked that one. Hey, it was great.
John with the
Look good to
31.65.
me.
That 31.65 actually is pretty good compared to some of the times we've seen.
You look good to me.
Harrison Wilson from Utah in the start gate. Kingsley mid-course.
Can I get a course report from John Scanlon?
Yeah, bottom's firm. That's about it.
Riveting.
Harrison in the start. Kingsley coming at us. Ben Fisher from Boulder next up in the start gate. Harrison charging. Kingsley with a 32.98. Geez, Harrison is going nuts up there. Keeps saving it. Keeps getting out of control and bringing it back in.
Here comes Harry Harrison, looking like a train coming through the course.
That's my Harry Willie.
Tyler Bartik in the start gate.
Bark, 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 bark. Choo choo!
Harrison, 32-49. Finn getting in the back seat. I'm not sure. Must have saved it. No radio chatter. Tyler on course at the top. Tanner Rosick in the start gate. Oh. 12. Finn Fisher, 33.80. Tanner Rosick in the start. Tyler Bartik mid-course. Noah Bagley in the start gate. Tanner on course at the top. Tyler, 30.74, 30.74. I believe that's the fastest we've seen of the second run so far. I just heard start,
Harrison.
stop.
Harrison, can we get a little post-race chat from you?
CMU athlete Tanner Rosick coming in. Tanner with a 32.05. 32.05 for Tanner.
Fellas at the top, want to see you guys rip this thing. It's freaking fun.
Oh, shots fired! Oh! Oh, shots fired!
Got some slippers trying to push out the ruts. And Noah Bagley on course at the top. Cannon Parsons next up from Air Force. Noah from WCU. The racers, we have a kids race starting with like 5-year-olds. They're going to be racing GS over your slalom ruts. That's going to be interesting. That's happening this afternoon, right after your race. And Noah getting in the back seat a little bit, but saving it. James McNamara in the start gate. Cannon Parsons mid-course. Noah, 30.41, 30.41. Cannon looking like he's having trouble at the middle. James on course. Hamilton Peterson next up in the start. Cannon finishing with a time of 33.18. And skier on course. James going the wrong way, uphill.
That's all heart right there. That's a dedicated ski racer if I've ever seen one.
The cross-country racers would be proud of him right now. Hamilton Peterson on course. Luke Kirchmeier next up in the start. Honestly, we're having less. Oh, right up the middle. Split it. That's James. Ooh, what bit was that? Ouch. Dude, he gave up on it and just let it. Let it happen. I watched it. Okay, Luke Kirchmeier on course to the top. Jasper Schmidt next up in the start. Coming to the finish. Hamilton with a time of 30.05, 30.05. Good run coming here from Luke. Coming into the tricky spot. Perfectly in balance. That was excellent. Luke with a 30.11, 30.11. Jasper Schmidt mid-course. Clayton Serber in the start gate from CSM. Dylan Kelly next up in the start for Boulder. Coming through the finish, Jasper Schmidt, 29.06, going into the number 1 spot for the afternoon run. And
Birds, where are ya?
On my screen, Jasper's number 1 overall currently. Dylan Kelly on course to the top. Spencer Peterson next up in the start. Clayton Serber coming to the bottom. These skiers are in really good balance. I love what I'm seeing right now. Clayton, 29.57. 56.78 combined time. Dylan Kelly, 29.41. 29.41 goes into the number 1 spot overall. 56.27 combined time.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't caught on to the C Utah dominance.
Okay, hold on. I got to make an announcement. Hold up. Athletes, when you're done, please cycle back to the top and help slip the course and push the ruts out for the kids' race this afternoon. Pull and slip. Pull and slip.
Put us to work.
That's right. Work. Okay, I've got Spencer Peterson from CSU loaded in the start gate. We had 4 gates come out at once. They are doing repairs. Okay, repairs done. Course is clear. Dylan Thompson next up in the start from Boulder. Spencer from CSU. Oh, Spencer, airborne. He's good. Oh, airborne again. Holy smokes. Finding traction for sure. Dylan Thompson on course. Jackson Rance from Utah in the start gate. Come through the finish. Spencer, CSU, 30.39, 30.39.
Jackson Rance eats a lot of beaver. And I'm actually serious, like the animal. It's crazy.
Jackson on course.
Jackson's got this one in the bag.
Skylar Clapp, CSM is in the start gate.
That's Jackson.
Sorry, guys.
Dude, Jackson is seriously attacking. This is insane. Look at the speed.
Runs, 2 runs, 2 runs. All the gates, all the gates.
And finishes it.
Yeah!
Jackson Rance, 28.67, fastest of the afternoon runs in the number 1 spot overall, 55.24 combined time.
First finish of the season for Mr. Jackson Rance. Can we get a course report?
Jackson says that was his 2nd finish of the season, by the way.
It's a little icy in spots. Probably should have done my skis, but pretty fun. A little squirrely at the bottom. I am wearing clear lenses. I always wear clear lenses.
So hash.
Okay, there's a gate on its side mid-course. Clap in the start gate. We're having surprisingly few problems, DQs and DNFs on this run. I thought the guys were going to be blown out left and right, but they're holding it together. Looks like this course must feel pretty good. That run Jackson just put down, he had no problem finding traction out there.
I like it. Know who you can come home with? My dear friend Andrew.
We got space in the truck.
You been in the bed of a truck
Okay,
before?
Skylar on course. TJ Weaver next up in the start.
No, he will.
Low
TJ
bib
Weaver.
numbers, send it.
DJ Weaver, my glorious king in the gate.
And TJ on course.
I know TJ has this one in the
Coming through the
bag.
finish. Skylar with a 27.49. 27.49. That looks to me like the fastest that we've seen. And TJ's out.
No! It's all right. See, Utah still
The course
dominates.
can only take so much. Tucker Schultz from WCU on course. Nico Tweedy, CSM next up in the start. Oh, oh. Tucker seems okay.
I do too because I'm not.
Nico on course. No, Tucker spits out at the bottom. Okay, Johan Friesen in the start. And Nico is down. This is sort of, yeah. Nico, 50, bib 50. Johan Friesen on course. Charles Carlene in the start gate. Charles on course. Palmer Lyons from CMU next up in the start. Friesen trying to keep it together. And Friesen 35.43, 35.43. Up at the top, Palmer Lyons on course. Kai Jefferson from Boulder in the start gate. Palmer from CSU at the top. Coming to the bottom, Charles from Wyoming. Keeping it safe. Kai Jefferson on course at the top. Coming to the finish, Charles 39.79, 39.79. Palmer getting a little squirrely there, keeping it together though. Kai doing a good job at the top. Ivan Jensen from Boulder next up in the start. Ivan on course at the top, coming to the finish. Palmer with a time of 37.99. Dylan Schur in the start gate from CMU. Course workers going all over the place, trying to take care of it. At the bottom, Kai gets a time of 37.23. Ivan mid-course. Dylan getting ready to drop at the top. There it is, Dylan on course. Zachary Hall in the start gate. I heard they're going to get an extra long interval before Zachary goes. And Dylan Schur, awkward fall, ski releases. Ivan Jensen just came through with a 39.53. Zachary Hall from Utah in the start gate. Ivan Jensen just finished with that 39.53.
Actually, such bullshit. Hey, at the bar.
Is that TJ just hanging out over on the side of the course over there? Possibly getting medical attention. Okay, I just got word he's okay. Zachary Hall on course. Raymond Harvey next up on the start from CMU. Zachary from Utah. Oh, immediately out of the start, Raymond Harvey. Ski's gone. I think he blasted. Yeah, his ski is in the start gate still. Okay, 56, Hall coming through. Next up in the start is going to be Maxwell Harper, but Hall comes through with a 40.62, 40.62.
Oh, wait a minute.
Maxwell Harper from CSM, mid-course. John Collins from DU next up in the start gate. Maxwell Harper from CSM with a 43.64, 43.64. Sean Collins from DU on course. Sean was a disqualification from the first run. Sean attacking. Gonna have, I was about to say, this course does not reward attacking.
Just so all you Boulder fans know, Sienna's still single, looking for a prom date.
All right, Colby Malpass from CMU on course at the top. Ned McBride in the start gate. Sean Collins with a time of 32.70.
Good stuff, Sean.
Ned McBride in the start gate. Colby mid-course.
Down here with Zach Hall right now. Here with a course report and how his run went. Zach, how was it?
Awful, but Drake May's going to win the Super Bowl next weekend, so it's okay.
Oh, good shout. Good shout.
And Colby finally puts one down, 32.06.
Oh, shots fired!
Ned McBride mid-course. Parker Schmidt next up in the start. That's bib 16, having trouble there. Parker Schmidt, 17, on course. Nicholas Atkin from WCU in the start gate. Nicholas on course at the top. Evan Elmendorf next up in the start gate. Oh, down, slides into the B net. That's Nicholas Atkin, bib 18, flying. Coming through the finish, we just had Parker Schmidt, 38.79. 38.79. All right, couple chats. Go Charlie, go Pokes. Fort Lewis Skyhawks, go Ned. Thank you to the course workers. Y'all are awesome. Evan from CSU in the start. Okay, we're getting close. Evan Elmendorf in the start, getting set, clicking his poles. Here we go, course clear. Evan on course. Connor Hamlin from Utah next up in the start. Connor on course. Harrison Anderson in the start gate. Racers, remember, we need some help slipping and picking up course. If you could cycle around again and give us some help taking down the course and smoothing it out for the kids' race this afternoon. Evan with a 35.25. Connor Hamlin coming to the bottom. Harrison Anderson on course at the top. Riley Schmidt next up in the start. Connor, 30.73, 30.73. Riley Schmidt on course at the top. Jacob Kovacs from CSU loaded in the start gate. Harrison nearing the bottom. Jacob on course. Alexander Ball next up in the start from CSM. Harrison at the finish from DU, 34.38. Riley Schmidt looking good here. Riley from Boulder, 31.14. Up at the top, Alexander Ball on course. Zachary Higbee from CMU next up in the start gate. All right, bib 3-2. Troubles right at the bottom. Zachary Higbee on course at the top. Parker Anderson from CSM in the start gate. All right, racers, if you've got help to give, please cycle around and help us get the course taken down and smoothed out. We have inspection for the kids race 30 minutes from now, and the kids race is scheduled to start at 2. Parker Anderson on course. Daniel Standage in the start gate. Daniel on course. Coming to the finish, Zachary Higbee from CMU, 46.83. 46.83. Jaden Spitz from Boulder in the start gate. Parker Anderson has a close call there. And Parker, 34.29, 34.29. Jaden Spitz. All of the racers that we're looking at currently DNF'd or DQ'd the first runs. Ashton Hicks from Utah in the start gate. Parker Anderson just came through with that 34.29. Daniel from Utah with a time of 36.87. Jaden Spitz mid-course. Ashton Hicks on course. Nikolai Chekin in the start gate from CSM. Change in the start. Marcus Hurstburner Rice is on course from Utah. Ashton mid-course. Coming through the finish, Jaden with a 33.24. Jack Rusinars in the start gate next from Boulder. At the finish, Ashton Hicks, 39.66. Marcus mid-course, Jack on course at the top. Next up in the start is going to be Ian Blakemore. Ian, like, airing out of the start. Super aggressive start. Matt Diedrich next up in the start gate from Boulder. Ian from Utah. What was that? 5'9", kicks out mid-course. Matt Diedrich on course at the top. Michael Startek next up in the start gate. Ian Blakemore going fast and smooth. Coming into the tricky hairpin. Makes it. Yeah, good run by Ian. 31.99. 31.99. Michael Startek on course at the top. Michael appears to be our final racer of the afternoon runs. At the finish, Matt, 38.01, 38.01. All right, Michael from Boulder, 46.98. Course is closed. Thank you, everybody, for a great day.
Okay, I have one more announcement before the race stops. Whether you know it or not, I have a huge crush on a Boulder dog. And you won the race yesterday, Sydney Crabble. Can I win your heart next weekend?
Okay, a bunch of the guys have their shirts off at the bottom.
Love is in the air, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all get hammered.
Okay, to our YouTube viewers, we are signing off. Check live timing. Go to powderhornracing.org to replay the videos, check live timing. And yeah, thanks everyone. It was a great day.